In the last 24 hours, WWE has even released more talent, and a lot of these names continue to surprise me. We're going to talk about that full list of people released from the company. Also, after these releases were made public, an NXT star came out with a very controversial tweet that has now since been deleted, but I'm going to show you guys the tweet on the screen. Seems like he's got some big issues with WWE. And yes, we are going to talk about some TNA news because this one is really interesting, but could mean something really good for the company. All right, let's kick things off with TNA because TNA is making a massive change to their product. Some people are responding pretty well to this. Some people seem to have different opinions. However, TNA has officially revealed that there is a ban behind blading and heavy bleeding on television. So excessive blood, the ability to blade and cut yourself, that's not going to be happening anymore. According to John Elba, this isn't just about safety, it is also about business. This should be a pretty strong indicator that TNA is heavily shopping its programming right now, and there are up to 5 platforms who TNA is currently talking with, including streaming options. Now, I just want to come out here and talk to you guys about this because about a year or so ago, I actually came out with the news that TNA was in fact going to make a couple changes, which was larger venues and shopping a new television deal, which so far we have seen them do bigger venues and we are hearing about them shopping a bigger television deal, which is awesome. I think that's great for TNA. I am very aware that TNA is not on the level of WWE or AEW when it comes to their network. But if TNA and AEW and WWE can all be on big networks, then that's a massive win for professional wrestling, especially when you're considering the fact that we have literally been talking about people losing their jobs. When people lose their jobs, it's important that the industry is healthy enough for them to go to other places for viable work. Now, yes, TNA may not be on that level, but I do think TNA will secure a TV deal, which is going to be awesome. And I think with them, putting a ban on blading and excessive bleeding, I understand that maybe that's not a popular decision, but if you want that, you get that with AEW. So you do get that with other companies. I don't think excessive blood or blading, I don't think that really matters to these wrestling companies. And I do think it's important for TNA to get a bigger TV deal. I think everybody should actually want that. I think if there's a comment, if I see a comment in down below where somebody says, "Oh, I don't want TNA to have a big TV deal," I wouldn't understand why that would be the way of thinking. And that brings us to our next topic. Keanu Carver from WWE. You might remember him from NXT Level Up. Now you might see him, on NXT and of course WWE Evolve. Listen, these WWE releases are pretty insane. So obviously you are going to have friends in the company. The Performance Center, a lot of people are relatively close. They all became homies. You got people dating other people within the WWE PC. Keanu Carver came out with this tweet. It's now since been deleted, but we're going to take a look at it. He says, "These MFs ain't ready for TS," which is this shit. "They de-eating these Samoan MFs who think they like that, who be voting for Trump and ain't really like that." So this is the tweet that Keanu Carver came out with. He was going on a little bit of a rant on social media. A lot of people honestly thought maybe his account was hacked. There's been no sort of confirmation that that is the case. Listen, he basically came out and said, "Listen, guys, MFs get mad when I talk my shit. I be keeping shit a bean, IDGAF." So he really don't care. He's being outspoken about this. Obviously, he's upset about the news, people being released. A lot of people think that these tweets could ultimately end up with him getting released from the company. I don't fantasy book people losing their jobs. You ain't gonna find that on this channel. However, I don't think it was necessarily smart to be putting out these kind of tweets. I think a lot of people on social media, you need to kind of relax sometimes because, you are representing a corporation, you are representing a company, and you are representing your personal brand. I get it in professional wrestling. Sometimes you don't always burn a bridge, right? It's always very difficult to burn a bridge in pro wrestling because WWE and all these companies have always found ways to bring people back. But at the same time, too, you just don't want to be known for that. I think a lot of times people don't want to have, I think a lot of times people don't want to have that reputation that they're hard to work with or they're overly emotional or reactionary to things. Yes, it sucks. People have lost their jobs. Yes, it sucks that maybe the company you go and work for doesn't always work out for you. But I've always been under the belief, whether it's professional wrestling or whether it's your standard job that people work in the real world, I think deep down inside, it's always good to leave on good terms. Or, you know, in his case, he's still employed by the company, but this could be a thing that could get him out of the company, which is not a cool thing. Obviously, you know, social media is very, 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 very crazy because you can delete a tweet and it stays there forever and you can't forget about that. And that is something you absolutely cannot forget about. The screenshot was floating around immediately. Guys, just a quick reminder too. This one's big. The releases are here. We have more. There's a total of 14 releases so far. I'm going to give you guys the full list. Yesterday, we talked about it. Shayna Baszler, Dakota Kai, Braun Strowman, Kaden Carter, Katana Chance. And then this is where things got even a little bit more crazier because Cora Jade and Riley Osborne from NXT were released. However, now there's more names. Gigi Dolan, Eddie Thorpe, Javier Bernal were all released. Jakara Jackson and Oro Menza from Meta 4 have now been released. Wolfgang, Mark Coffey, and Joe Coffey have also been released. So we have like 15 people total at this point, 16 people total. All of Gallus being released is a little bit of a shocker. I mean, they were literally the guys responsible for training The Rock upon his return. Obviously, Gallus was a very big deal with NXT UK, came to NXT. They did some things. For some reason, we never saw them on the main roster. Javier Bernal was somebody who comes from the NXT, 2.0 era. Clearly, WWE didn't see anything. But I was really shocked to see that they split up Meta 4. Jakara Jackson and Oro Menza are really, really talented. Meta 4 is incredibly over. I was hoping the entire faction would move over to the main roster. That didn't happen. And it was kind of weird because even on this past week's episode of NXT, like that's just kind of how it is. Like that's just the way it is. Listen, I'll tell you guys, all of these releases, why are they happening? It's very simple. WWE is conducting business. We hate to admit it. We don't like to admit it when a business is doing business things. It sucks. People's lives are impacted by it, but also at the same time too, it is important that people actually realize what is happening here. WWE is going to keep doing what WWE does. This was happening long before TKO got involved. I think that's a cop out. It's not about who owns them or not. And you guys will see this is going to happen across the board, regardless of the company. So, yeah. Ladies and gentlemen, if you guys want more videos like this, please don't forget, go ahead and click that subscribe button right there. And I'll see you guys next time.